Traditional Storytelling and Modern Technology in Northern Europe. That's still the title, right?
Yep.
Yep. Thank you. Good.
Okay, so yeah, I'm Professor Joan Condell from Ulster University. I don't think I've even put this on my slide. No, I haven't. Don't know why I did that. Possibly because I was finishing it at 2 o'clock this morning. But anyway, so I'm going to. I've worked with Judith on a number of projects and schooling in a number of projects, but I'm going to refer to 2 specific projects in this experience. So first of all, I am computing scientist and mathematician. I'm not a historian. My school is Computing, Intelligent Systems and Engineering within the Faculty of Computing, Engineering and Built Environment. And I'm very much, I lecture maths. I've been lecturing maths for years, but I sit within the computing school. So I have a very mathematical mind. I'm quite unique in my department in the uni in that I engage with the community a lot, and I've been reflecting on this since I came here. Actually, I do a lot of community health work. If you Google me, if you're bored, you'll see a lot of papers around community health and you'll go, well, what's she doing here? I do an awful lot of work in community health. So I love putting technology in the hands of people who don't have access to it or would never have access to it. And using technology in different ways to what they've been used before or what they're expected to be used for. So in health, I had a lot of European projects, and I have a lot of regional projects now where I bring technology to communities to support their mental, physical and environmental health. And this connects to this work in that, and it's just kind of dawned on me today. At the core of all of my work is actually the engagement with the community, and it's what universities should be doing, and we say we do, but we're actually not very good at it at all. It's what we call impact from our research, and that's the gold dust for me, is that quality impact. So it's not just me writing lots of papers, working with lots of kit like Matthias here is, but it's actually translating that for communities. So what does that mean for the people outside my buildings, the people outside all of our buildings? And in the heritage work, the core for me is actually, again, bringing the technology to the people to make their quality of lives better. In the health work, we talk a lot about the quality of life score and the quality of life index. And as a mathematician, it's how we quantify improvement. So we started the project at this level, and we have proven that we have taken those people, that community's quality of life, to a different level. And this is actually quite similar in some ways. Like Judith talked about, kind of giving the community their voice and valuing their voice. They've never been asked before, and I hear that an awful lot. I employ a lot of psychologists in my community health work, and I hear that a lot from them. They're just so happy to have a voice, for you to listen to them, to listen to their mental health and physical health problems. They never had a voice. They never felt they had a voice, and this is actually quite similar. Anyway, we'll not talk about health anymore. So the 2 main projects I'm going to refer to as an MPS Cine, which Scully and Judith were involved with me on, and Alan in Scotland, and Storyteller, which they renamed Northward because of an IP issue. And I don't think anybody here was on that. Actually, it was with Robert Gordon University in Scotland, was Alina. And our 2 local partners here was Judith and Donegal County Museum and Cine, and Causeway Coast and Glens Heritage Trust in Northern Ireland on Storytelling. 2 totally different projects, but actually the only thing I'm missing here coming into DACCHE is the sustainable climate change piece, which I'm actually starting to do in my health work. So yeah, this is a very natural progression for me. It's only when I come away from my 5 kids that I get time to reflect and step back and look at myself. Anyway, sorry. So the first one, Cine, I think Judith covered a bit of it, and you may be aware of it, but it basically, us in this were digital. So Alan in Scotland did more digital, different digital to us, but I'm going to focus on what we did solely in Ulster. So it was collaboration with the museum, Judith, and the community, the Killybegs community. We did a lot of digitisation and photogrammetry, which I'll get to in a minute, which is the techie bit. And it's like we were taking this old church and moving it into the virtual world, but allowing people to experience it anywhere, anytime, but also can come on site and see what it was like previous. So we talk a lot in tech about virtual reality, mixed reality, augmented reality, and I'll show a slide around that as well. Mixed is essentially a mix of both, and virtual, it's where you're completely immersed in another world. Augmented is where you're partially. So I could be in this room and I could see dragons floating around the sky, for example. So digitization in the virtual church. So this is our logo. And this is, as I said, just what Ulster did. This is the whole partnership. I just had this in slides. I thought I'd keep it on. So this is the regional partners. So you can see Schoolie up there, Summer, me and Judith down there, Alan in Scotland, and then we had Museum Nord as the lead in Norway. So I put that slide up twice, and Catherine's VR is the church. So the core aim in Cine was to transform people's experiences of outdoor heritage sites through the use of technology. So we had new digital interfaces such as augmented reality and virtual worlds, so AR and VR, alongside easy to use apps to bring the past alive and visualize effects of changing environments and heritage sites. So in Cine, we kind of started this sustainability climate change journey, but we never really got very far in it. And I see this project as very much picking up that baton and running with it. So this is what we call mixed reality. So on the left is your reality, what you see in this room, what you feel in this room, and on the far right is completely virtual. Mixed reality is a mix of augmented and virtual. So if you think augmented augments on top of your reality, virtual is where you're completely immersed. And we do a mix of both, whatever fits. My personal preference is actually augmented. I don't like gaming. I'm not a gamer. I manage gaming researchers, but I am not a gamer at all. I actually prefer real life. So I'm happy to augment my life, but not to go into a different world. So in terms of digitization and photogrammetry, photogrammetry is where you take lots and lots and lots of pictures of an object, and we did this in Donegal Museum, so an artifact. Lots and lots and lots of pictures, and eventually you come up with a 3D model using software. It's basically stitched together. It basically just clunks them all together in every dimension to create a 3D model. And we used Unity in Cine, and it's likely we would use it again here. So it's third-party software. It's what our gamers spend hours and hours and hours and hours doing. So they basically recreate artifacts in a virtual world 3D. So I'm going to play this video, which is a small explanation. You might have to click the arrow for me, Matthias, as well. So when I bring this up on my laptop, I see a little arrow, and when I click it twice, it just plays. No pressure. Oh, no, not that one, sorry. No, the one should be in the slides just. It didn't play. Sorry, that one's for the end. Yeah, there should be an arrow in the bottom left corner. That's it now, yeah, just. Yeah, that's fine.
Implementing photogrammetry into your project.
And that's okay, that's fine. You might have to play on it.
And using a photogrammetry workflow can give you high fidelity, visually impressive environments.
We'll just jump, that's okay. So that's just an example of what photogrammetry is. So it's where you're augmenting your reality and you're creating a 3D object on top of your reality. So this is the church that Judith talked about, St. Catherine's Church in Killybegs. It's 15th century church, south of Killybegs on the west side of the harbour. And there is family crest carved in a number of the gravestones. So it's really, really old, and there's gravestones in the grassy area around the church. There's also horrible modern buildings behind it, which, yeah, always really messed with my head. But anyway. You've took control of it. That's it. So what we did was we used old site maps and whatever we could get our hands on, basically around the church building and how it was built and when it was built. All these rectangles are grave sites. And we recreated it in 3 dimensions, and you'll see the relevance of this in a minute. So design sheets, 3D reconstruction, and then into the virtual reality experience. And we also took photographs, and they help with the 3D immersion as well. So as much information as we can get on the measurements and the original plans and what the actual church looked like, because remember the roof's not on it anymore. It's just walls. So then we went into full reconstruction. So completely reconstructed it, what it would have looked like in 3D. And this is what it currently looks like. And yeah, there's another video coming in a second. So then what we kind of put on top of that was these information points, which you can grab if you have your VR headset on. And you can find out lots of different things about different parts of the experience. So these are some of the artifacts that Niall, who was our fantastic gaming researcher in this project, he was the project manager for us on Cine, and he was amazing. We still have him in the building, but I don't know if he's listening now. He's moving on, I think, to a different department. So this shows the 3D reconstruction, where we're actually putting the dimensions together and putting it in 3 dimensions. So I think there's another video which shows it. Yeah. There's no sound in this. So this is an actual 3D virtual museum. So you can go in and grab this and move it around and walk around the virtual museum. Just see artifacts on the walls. And these are information points. You can grab them and get more information on different parts. And then we have information points outside as well. So you could basically be completely immersed and not be there, but get to experience what it was like versus what it is like. Yeah, the link's not very good here, but we'll maybe share the web links and you can go on and see it on all the web links. So this was one of the artifacts we reconstructed in 3 dimensions, and you can just about see it there. So it's reconstructed in 3D to scale to the exact size. Oh dear, I can't see it at all. I think it's finished, is it? Yeah. Let's just start again. Okay. So there's huge potential for heritage and mixed reality, augmented reality, virtual reality. Alan has fantastic examples from Cine as well in the Scottish specific case studies that they worked on. So it gives you access to remote sites. It helps to preserve sites. So you carry that history with it. It allows you to visualize the past and the future. We did a lot of that in Cine. We didn't get to the sustainability piece, but it was always towards the end. And it also gives you new novel experiences if that's what you're into in terms of immersive reality. So this is just a couple of pictures of the engagement. We did stacks and stacks. Niall did loads and loads of engagement with Judith. And then we had a revision of strategy at one point, and we went back to the drawing board, so to speak, and brought in Guy. And this is another thing I was thinking about when Judith was talking. I have my psychology postgrads are the equivalent of Guy in my health work. You have to have someone on the ground who gets to know everybody and really engages with them. So it's not superficial tick box engagement. It's, you know, my psychology postgrads on my community health work know all the carers that they work with. They know them by name. They know their personal situations. They know their stresses and challenges. So we can offer them different technology to support them. They really do get to know them, and that's exactly what Guy did for us in this work. Before that, we didn't have it. Computer scientists aren't very good at empathy. Even in the health work, believe it or not, they prefer to just sit and code and analyze data and create models. I mean, some of them can do it, but actually they'll only take it so far and then they're back to the work. Whereas people like Guy and Katie and Tara in the health work are just fantastic. It's what they thrive on. They do it all the time. So the second one, which was renamed Northward, so it was another NPA story tagging project. So it was very much more about digitization of stories. Didn't focus on the heritage so much, but the heritage is just in underneath, but it was all about the stories. And our part to play in this was actually creating the digital platform to hold stories. So stories in this is another thing Judith was referring to. Stories in this could mean we had a witch's cloak that's an artist had actually created and knitted. So stories in my mind is like a written piece of text or our mobile piece of text. But in this case, stories could be something physical, like hardware in my computing world. We also had a word carved urn. So it's lots and different types of stories. It wasn't just the words. So we created this repository called Northward, and the mixed reality we'll get to at the end of the video at the minute shows where we brought in AR and we actually augmented a story on top of the actual physical book. So the main bits we were involved with was with the Heritage Trust in our region, so gathering the stories, and also then the whole digital repository of holding them, sharing them, allowing communities to upload them. So this was quite new to me and different to Cine because this project spent so much time talking about what one of the earlier speakers talked about, what is data? And to me, data can be so many different things, but it is what it is. So in my world, I don't want to talk about it. I just want to work with it and play with it. But we spent a lot of time in the partnership talking about what stories were, how we gathered stories, how we engaged heritage organisations and storytellers and SMEs and creatives around their stories. We did loads of workshops in the communities and community groups. We got a storyteller in to help people create their stories. So if there was an old lady down the road and she had a story to tell, but she wasn't confident about writing that story or putting the words to it, we had a very well-known Northern Ireland storyteller in who helped them write. So this was all just a completely new world to me, but fascinating. So the public submitted stories. We put out a competition, kind of. We put out a call for stories in the region. And we got loads and loads of submissions. So we chose 30 stories. And for each one of those 30, we helped the person, whether it was an SME or creative or just someone in the public, to write their stories. They could do audio, they could do video, they could have a piece of art or something physical. We recorded 10 to 15 and then we had an AR piece. And we also mapped them on our digital platform. So we had like a digital platform and we had a physical geographical map where you could see where all the stories were and you could actually zoom in and get stories from those areas. So you could see where the tourism side comes in here as well. So we're looking at the functionality of map stories, loads and loads of training and guidelines on how to do things, which we also did in Cine. Guidelines on how to engage with the community, which was one of the big deliverables within the Cine project. Again, something that doesn't excite me an awful lot, but I know it needs to be done. So loads of community associations. These are just in my region, stacks and stacks of community associations, and we have people in the Heritage Trust to engage with them all the time, and Liz was our storyteller. So in terms of actual heritage engagement, it was led by the Trust, but we were always in the background. They had a lot of promotional material, so they do a lot of that all the time anyway. They go out to groups regularly, they engage with particular groups regularly. And what I find works well generally, and certainly to initiate work, is you build on existing strong relationships. So you have strong relationships, and Judith will do this when we get to our Donegal case study. Go to the strong relationships and see what works for what you want to do. And you will find other relationships around those strong relationships as well. So there was lots of marketing material. This is what the Heritage Trust put out to the public for people to get involved in pushing in stories. Lots and lots of workshops with the public and with community groups. We had a digital workshop on how they were to upload their stories. So this wasn't heavily tech to me, but the tech come in at the very end. But it does help kind of set in context a lot of the other work we do. So we created Northward NI, which was our own local platform to gather stories. The public were able to go on and submit their stories in text format or audio format, and those guidelines are as to how they do that. And then we scored them basically. So this is a platform that we used and created for the stories to be uploaded. And in the middle of this summer, we scored them and decided if they were going to be published because you just couldn't put up anything. So you've this digital platform in the middle. We have stories, communities, skills, because you're always training and giving community skills in everything you do, even just bringing them together. They're getting support from their peers. A core part of the storytelling project was also this economic activity, because SMEs and creatives were encouraged to add a story to their product or service. So there was that potential as well, and it helped increase awareness of the products. So that's the partnership. Sorry, Robert Gordon University, University of Highlands in Scotland. We had a Russian partner. We didn't have it at the end of the project. Because of President's Heritage Trust in Oslo, Northern Ireland, and Västerbotten County Council in Sweden and Council in Finland. So this is what the Northward Story Repository looks like. And if I had a link here, I would go on and play some of these, because these are actual stories. You can click on these. It gives you the text of the story, but it also gives you the person telling the story, or Liz Weir telling the story. Some of them are videos, some of them are just text, some of them have audio, and some of them you can just see an artifact, a piece of art. So this is probably less techy for me, but fascinating, and really, really helped with my community engagement. Again, that's all a bit of a rant, but I hope you get what I mean. So we had Cine, which had all the mixed reality and one particular heritage site in Donegal with Judith. And then we had a storytelling project, which was all about collecting stories from communities and SMEs and giving them a digital platform that their stories could be heard. We didn't explore the tourist side of this, but that would be another step in this. Yeah. So how it relates, we're talking about the data at the start. That's the only other thing I was going to say. For me, data is the quantitative stuff, so it's like the factual stuff, and the stories is all the kind of fluffy stuff around that, which is the qualitative. So data should be facts. It's stuff you can, that is very quantifiable, whereas the stories is kind of opinions and people's experiences more. The other thing I've been working on a lot lately, and some new proposals I'm working on, is how do you manage behaviour change around climate, which is hugely challenging. And I think the words we use and the terminologies we bring out in this project are going to be very, very important, and it'll probably be slightly different per region as well, because the words we use are different and our languages are different. But the community perception of what we're doing here is very, very important to get that right from the start, if we can. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's start off with a question, because I know you're sitting on stuff later on. How did, looking at the first project, how did people react to the VR experience? Was it in the way that you expected them to react or not, and does it matter?
Just wants to answer, go.
People were wowed. They really were. And we're talking all ages. So we took it down initially because it was St. Catherine's Church. We took it to Killybegs and we showed it in the local heritage centre down there, and we got such a positive feedback, because people had never seen what the church might have looked like in reality when it was an actual church in the medieval period. So they just were amazed by it. Even young people who are more used to that sort of concept of, because they do gaming and all that, even they found it really, really interesting. And then we showed it quite a few times in our own museum in Letterkenny, and again, always a very positive feedback, always.
Cool.
I think because it's very personal film as well.
That was absolutely, yeah. Particularly in Killybegs, because they have that site has been there for generations, so they've always had a connection to it, but have never seen it how it would have been, and so they really did have that personal connection to it.
Right.
I see one's typing online while we're waiting. Someone in the room. Oh.
Did you read it there?
Did people respond differently between the different technologies in the first project? Did they prefer one technology over the other? AR over VR, for example?
Yeah, I think everybody has personal preferences when it comes to them. I always prefer augmented. I don't enjoy going into a different world. I prefer to be in my real. And some people just absolutely love being immersed. So I think it's personal. I think it's just personal preference.
Yeah, I also think that for a lot of people, it was very new. The whole VR thing was very new. So for them, you know, they really enjoyed that experience of being immersed. Although, as Joan said, there are people who just
Love it.
they don't like it. Physically, they don't like it because it makes them feel a little bit strange and a bit weird and a bit
Seasick.
like
Yeah.
they don't like not knowing where they are. But there still was that sort of wow factor about it, about the VR side, definitely.
Yeah, some of these videos are actually quite dark in this room, but if you watch the slide deck back, you'll see the context a bit better. And I forgot to play it. Do you just want to play it? Because there's no sound on it anyway. The storybook one, the last one, the other one I sent you in an email. So this is an augmented reality piece on the storytelling project. All these stories are so different. They're totally different. But everyone is equally important.
This is a non-used computer. Sorry about the cookies.
Yeah, play, yeah. So the story is how the salmon became king of fish, and it's an actual physical book. Someone created a storybook. So this is where the message is showing up. Okay, so this is the actual physical. You can see the.
I am Manaman MacLure, the Celtic god of the sea. I can usually be found in Benevena, looking over to Donegal.
There's just different pages in the book. If you think of those 3D kind of paper books, it's like the virtual equivalent of that.
What about me? I pick up the pieces from all the mess she others make. I am the most important. Of course, it has got to be me. We're a large family. We include the tope and the catfish and many others.
I think you get the idea here. So our programmer basically picked out some animals and made them augmented.
Cool. One last question. How do you? How can we then back to the question of climate change? How can we use these technologies also now, adding on the layer of awareness raising around climate change?
Yeah. So our rough basic plans around Donegal is to find a site and a community, and the magic will happen where we get the right site and the right community group. Where we want to kind of project forward and show what that landscape could become like. So it's on the shore, it's coastal, so there'll be erosion and stuff, and there may be houses falling into the sea, whatever we can project forward. So it'll likely be augmented, but we may do immersive as well. So it'll be allowing people to see what it could be like in 100 years if we don't make changes now and adjust our behaviour. So we could have different stages of adjustment. I always have to bring in quantification somewhere.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
On that note, let's take a 10-minute break. So back at 2:30. See you soon.